bottom line is that most of us actually want to work less. I don't know any person who started the business and was having that, well, I can't wait until I work like 24/7 for the same pay that I'm getting now. No, I mean, typically most people start a business because obviously, I mean, they're excited about the business model or whatever it is that they're doing, but also being able to, just be more effective, be able to do things faster and with lesser input, which means that we can have the same input with just being alone, but also, I mean, meaning that we have the same amount of hours in use. But then it, comes down to how we actually use those hours. And, social media is designed in such a way that the purpose of it is basically to waste our time. Like, I don't know how many, if you have experienced it, like, let's say that you go to Facebook and, you go there for some purpose. Like, okay, I need to go into this group to search for, like, is there anyone else experiencing this? So I'm going to this group that has some different kind of tips, and then search using the keyword and find the thing that if anyone else is experiencing. And then it happens that you realize that you're watching some video and you're asking yourself, why did I come here? What was it that I was doing here? Who has ever experienced this?
That often happens with me with Wikipedia.
Wikipedia,
especially for some reason, when I'm hungover, I might just spend a whole day just glancing through some random Wikipedia page and ending up in some very random places.
Yeah, because I mean, our minds are like these creative tools and like curious, meaning that typically we are curious about many different things, especially like entrepreneurs are curious. So meaning that, okay, you want to learn, you came here to learn one thing, but then you see something else, then you start going to that direction and learn. And then you jump from one thing to another and whoops. Then, I mean, it's so easy to waste the whole day on that, meaning that whole day you spent on basically going from, I mean, trying to basically accomplish many different things, but then, it kind of gets watered down. And another issue is that a lot of times in business, actually every business has things that we do not find pleasant. There are stuff that we just have to do, but we have this mental block that I don't want to do that. Like, for me, it's always this bookkeeping stuff and these all different kind of tax papers, different kind of contracts. And then, like, when I start doing those, my mind is always telling me, no, stop it, let's do something else. I don't want to do this. So then, of course, like, I procrastinate, and then it takes me forever to do one small thing because my mind has been just procrastinating. And another thing for me is like I need to wrap up my dissertation, and I have zero interest to do that. So my mind is always telling me like, why are you even doing this? Like, you're just wasting your time. You're a business owner. You don't even need this stuff. So come on, like, why you need? But so this technique is actually a great way to kind of like force yourself into doing things that you don't want to do. But secondly, also like just being able to get out of your hours that you have in use. So let's talk about mastering productivity with the Pomodoro technique. So yeah, I mean, in simple form, it's just 25 minutes that you allocate for a certain thing, right? And you do that to boost focus, manage time, and it's this procrastination, and just it's even more and also about maintaining this work-life balance with focused work and these scheduled breaks. Because there's tons of research in what kind of impact, for example, movement and exercise has on learning and brains and whatever. So why don't we actually make the use of those? So anyway, this been since the 18th, and apparently it's named after tomato. So point is to improve focus and combat procrastination. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. So it's widely adopted time and management strategy. And yeah. Okay, so what is it? So it's these focused work intervals followed by these short breaks. And typically it's going to be like 25 minutes and separated by 5-minute breaks, which means that you decide what you're going to do, set up a timer, 25 minutes. Okay, then it rings. So then you have a 5-minute break, and then, then you do different things. So, and after 4 of these Pomodoros, you take a longer break, which means 15 to 30 minutes. So yeah, I mean, this is really helpful for us as entrepreneurs, but I would also say that like even for, I don't see any specific thing, like let's say we would be, like if I think about my work history in corporate world, I mean, yeah, I mean, it would have been like beneficial there as well. So it's about anyone seeking to improve focus and productivity and blah, blah, blah. I guess Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Tom Hanks use this technique. So the steps for it are, okay, first thing, plan. What is it that you want to do? And, thing is that, whatever it is, we should also like break it down a little. So if it's just a gigantic thing that's gonna take us whole week just to do that one thing, then obviously we should consider that. I mean, let's just break it up a little. And let's say that because when we're doing weekly planning, the less we have, the better. The less like high level things, the less like big things that we need to accomplish during that week, then the better. But then when we are doing those, let's say we have like 3 goals, 4 goals for this week, so then it just comes down to like, okay, selecting something, a task that takes at least 25 minutes. So we plan for it, set the time, then do work on it, and then have the 5-minute break. I mean, just get up and maybe just move a little, and then you just basically repeat it for 4 times until you have this longer break. So point is to break down tasks into small actionable steps. So of course that it can kind of questionable. Okay, what is exactly actionable? Like let's say that you want to brainstorm something. I mean, the way we have been doing brainstorm, I mean, we typically do like 45-minute time period for that, because that was based on some it was from this IDEO group, who has been like nominated as the most innovative company, and working for Apple, giving them tons of ideas or whatever. But anyway, they were doing these like intervals, like 45 minutes in terms of brainstorming. So I kind of adapted their model when we're doing brainstorming as a team, as together with someone else. But in terms of like, here we are talking about that you're just working on something on your own. So you just take this small chunk, actionable step, and let's say that you have like many different things, and you realize that, well, I mean, it doesn't take me 25 minutes to do this one thing. Then, I mean, you can also combine these things. Like let's say I take four different things. Like let's say that I need to figure out the numbers for these couple of products or product opportunities. So obviously, I mean, you start with one product, but it's also good, you know, to categorize these tasks and, you know, take many of them at the same time, meaning that you're just doing one thing, but instead of like doing many different things for one product, we could just do this. I mean, let's just do the same thing for all these, like 4 different products, meaning that we focus on completing this, like getting the numbers, asking different suppliers, whatever, and we do that thing like for all of them, instead of just like finishing all the different tasks for one product. So let's say, I mean, then you basically set up the timer, and I mean, you can just use your phone, no need to complicate it. And if you just finish early, you spend the extra time to learning something new, or, you know, read, or just any kind of improvement.
Combining the phone though actually there's a good idea somewhere that I also used myself for a while. There's an app called Forest app. It's basically like you install it on your phone, and then you set up these timers, and like 15 minutes, whatever you want to do with your Pomodoro technique. And during that time, if you open the phone, then the tree that was growing there will die. So basically the idea is to gamify those focus hours and minutes. So at the end of the day, you can like take a look like how big of a forest I've been able to build.
Okay. Yeah.
And then so you can see like what sort of tasks I did. Yeah, it gamifies the process, but also it also 2 birds, 1 rock, in the sense that it should make sure that you don't use your phone during those focus hours. That might be one of the biggest app interferences for everybody, to actually grab their phone during the Pomodoro.
Absolutely. Timer. I mean, that's a great way to destroy our like productivity. I mean, not just productivity, but I mean, disrupt your focus, like, because usually it takes quite a bit of time in order to, you know, get into the zone and get onto this like good vibes in executing on the task. And, you know, it's super easy to destroy that whole zone. Like, I think someone calls you, boom, or even if you just get a like text message, ping. I mean, then
it can take you like 10 minutes for one to regain the focus they had.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, okay, prioritize and organize the workload, having these to-do list, but most common mistake is having this big, huge to-do list, where, because, you know, it can easily feel demotivating. So that's why also, like, you know, why we are still doing this like weekly planning thing is that, because it gives this fixed time period. It gives that sprint, like there's beginning and there's an end, and, you know, after the end there's a closure. And, you know, it feels much more better and kind of like rewarding for the mind when you get this sense of accomplishments, when you get this like closure, and then you can move on. And usually we like to have it end on a Friday, so that, you know, you get closer on the things that you did, and then your mind already starts focusing on the things that you're going to be doing next. So you basically have those. If you're not working during the weekend, then you know, your mind gets to relax a bit, and already starts focusing on the tasks that are coming up next week. But by the way, one thing is about this combining different things is, I mean, that's also the origin of like how Scrum, the framework, was developed, because the point in software development, because the point was that, like, instead of like all the different different team members working on, everyone is working on a different thing, like if they instead working on one thing, like the same area or subset of same area at the same time, they actually get like more stuff done. So there's actually plenty of research on that as well. But even if you're focusing on like if we take the same kind of approach when we are working alone, I mean, we can just consider it such that, okay, right now I'm working on doing this specific thing for all the different, like getting the numbers for all the different products. So I'm not going to be going into like, okay, talking with, graphic designer or whatever. No. I'm just focusing on this one subset of an area and then doing it for all the products instead of just doing everything for one product. Because, then you get this, because the thing that it's really difficult for the mind is context switching. If you jump from one context to another, then it takes for the human brain like quite a bit of effort to do that. So, but instead, if you are just focusing on one context, on one like area, kind of like one skill set, one area of mastery, or like, let's say that we would be doing copywriting. It would actually make more sense that we are doing the, the copywriting for just doing copywriting at this given time, but then we can do it for different products instead of just doing everything, all the different things for one product. So avoid this kind of like decision fatigue during Pomodoro. Yeah. So meaning that you don't need to, like, you already know what you're going to do in that 25 minutes. You don't need to do any kind of decision that, takes time to think, or takes time to, kind of like research or whatever. But anyway, I mean, set up the timer, and, it's also good to try out with different interval lengths. 20 to 30 minutes, that's fine. Or like if you're doing brainstorming as a team, then 45 minutes is what I like doing, because it's based on the research. And then also using these different tools and apps. And what you can do in these different tools is to track and then do kind of progress reports, and you can do the gamification, build the trees, build the forest, I guess.
Right up.
So point is to eliminate these distractions. And there's also this. I'm using also one app on Mac, which is called, like, I don't remember what's the name of it, but anyway, it's focus, meaning that it will not like it allows you to like focus only on one tab or one window or whatever at a time, and you can also set it up so that it blocks everything in your browser, or maybe, like, for example, that you don't go to Facebook or whatever, so it can eliminate pretty much everything. And also super important is to silence these notifications. I mean, it takes minimal thing to kind of like destroy your focus. So if you get this text message sound, then oops, being on the zone goes out the window.
Rob Dial had a good point about like putting your phone in the kitchen drawer or whatever. So you can go and you can use it, but you just have to walk that much further. And take that's a very simple, robust tip.
Forcing yourself to do the extra effort.
Yeah, because also I found like the worst has been when I started like using this WhatsApp browser integration, meaning that you can like shoot the shit on WhatsApp using your computer. Basically, you're using the same muscles and everything that you're doing with your work. So once I plugged that and started putting the cell phone to other rooms, it just makes that much more easier, because you're not developing the same muscle memory.
Yes, for sure. And actually, when I look at my, when I ask my team members to share their screen, the best sign to always know that are they really productive or are they wasting the time is to look at how many tabs they have open.
Yeah, exactly.
They have like 40 different tabs. Okay, I know how productive you are, lady.
Yeah, it's like a snapshot of everybody's brain. Like, how does your desktop look like?
And the reason, of course, why we have all these different tabs is because, you know, we like to save our, or we like to tell us that, you know, we like to save our project, that we are on this tab and tab and tab and tab. But I have noticed, because I have done the same before, but I noticed that it feels better for the mind to always, every day, start from a clean page and, you know, start from zero pretty much. And nowadays you can also save these tabs, meaning that you can, with one click of a button, it will open all the tabs that you want to save. So, you know, it's better to have, like, start with have the minimal amount of tabs all the time. Yeah, I mean, obviously emails, social media, no. And the breakdown, like complex, or whatever you have, I mean, try to put it into small chunks. And I think, I mean, having these breaks, I mean, definitely like gives our mind a kind of like refresher, and just gives the stability just to have a break. And, you know, the worst kind of thing is to, if you use the break on just going through social media, because then it's noise, like, then you kind of like, it's not really a break. Although, I mean, of course you can argue that, no, I mean, I feel it feels relaxing to, it's a way for me to relax, to go look at social media. Yeah, I guess, but point is that, you know, it's much better if we are during breaks, we are able to kind of like empty our mind, and we don't need to, we are not getting bombarded with any noise. And this physical movement, I mean, that really does a lot. And this mental rejuvenation, and, you know, exercise is such a great way to kind of like alter your mood for the better, and kind of like boost yourself energy as well. Like for example, yesterday I had a call, and was kind of was a bit annoyed like after that call. So anyway, I just went for a walk out in the cold air. So immediately after just 15 minutes, I felt so much better, and just it was so much easier to move on, so you don't get stuck into any kind of thoughts, or kind of if you're having even just had an annoying conversation, so your mind doesn't get stuck there.
There was an interesting point also, as regards to one's, like, the muscles in your eye. Because if you just take a break and scroll your cell phone, your eyes are not really relaxing. Another thing is that actually, when you're looking at the same, like, very narrow spot, your brain kind of thinks it's focusing, you know. So you're mentally using your kind of like decision-making capability as well when you're just looking in very narrow area, if that makes sense. So that's when you go outside to get fresh air, but also you're looking at larger distances, and your brain is actually relaxing, put it that way. It's kind of no-brainer, but if you think about it, if you just keep on focusing on one single point, then your brain is kind of using up those, I don't know, focusing chemicals, whatever.
Yeah. And actually,
very
that's also
pro-science way of explaining it, but it actually makes true.
That's also a good point, that you need to give your eyes a moment to relax as well, because otherwise, like, when we are working, we are looking at the, you know, screen, the display. So it helps to give like when we need to take, we want to take a moment just to wind off, then obviously it's better if we are not like using our eyes in the same way that we are using when we are working. So we are not like looking at the phone and, you know, going up and down and so. Yeah, so 5-minute breaks. After 4 Pomodoros, you do 15-30 minute stretching, walk around, grab a snack, engage in activities unrelated to work, because, you know, it gives the mind just to a breather. So light conversation, whatever, right? So yeah, I mean, you can obviously like alter the length of this, meaning that if you have just those tiny things that can be done 50 minutes, I mean, fine, then just do 50-minute work intervals. So, and also, you know, even though this is like kind of like, I mean, it's still a framework, which means that you could basically experiment to see that kind of like what works for you best, because you know, it's the same thing with the sleep. Like obviously most people, like if you take the average, then the average is going to be, you know, 6 to 8 hours or whatever. But obviously like you could just experiment and see that, okay, what amount of sleep gives you the best kind of energy.
Have you, by the way, tried walking, Matt? Like doing work while walking? Yeah, me neither. I'd just like to know if it's like, can you really focus on doing that? Like, I imagine it might be better for like holding, you know, phone calls. Can you like?
Yeah.
I guess that's just one has to try it, but somebody's told me that it's kind of better way than going. Well, it's always a good thing to go out for a walk. Sometimes you might reap the same benefits while actually doing something, and then going out for a walk just a little bit later.
Yeah, I know Jonne was using it, and he was saying it's good. Like especially like you mentioned during calls and so on. So it's super easy way how to get your steps, your 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, Needy, you were saying.
Standing desk is critical, I think, for working. I have one.
Yeah,
I use it too.
Yeah. And then the wobble board is like a round board you stand on. It has a little hemisphere on the bottom, and you know.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Have you tried the walking one though, Neil?
No, I haven't. People had that at my old company, but I never saw it actually being used.
Classic.
But that's also, like, guys, a very like trendy thing in Finland, and has been for a few years now, to always have a walk or so when you're having the meeting or the business phone calls, like related to your business. But I've never heard that somebody does it with the machine inside. That's interesting.
Yeah, Jon was saying that he I know, I mean, when he lived in Finland, he had that. So he was, whenever you talk to me, he was walking. But obviously, like when you travel, then it's kind of like more limited and so on. But the worst thing for the back is this, you know, this static thing, which means that even if you have a standing desk and you're just standing all day, I mean, that's not good for your back, because main benefit would be just movement. So you're not in the same position, you know, 8 hours a day, right? Yeah. 45. Yes. Experiment, break down smaller. So large into smaller, or if you have too small, then combine those, right. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily suit all types of tasks. I don't know why it wouldn't suit brainstorming, because at least, I mean, I've been doing this with teams for years. Like, it's a 45-minute thing, and, you know, then we end it, because, you know, okay, fine, sometimes it takes a bit less or a bit more, but the thing is that you know, after like 1 hour or so, it kind of feels that you're not really getting, kind of like the energy isn't the same anymore. So probably that's the reason why it's like brainstorming was made in started to be like 45 minutes, because you reach this peak of creativity and then it kind of wears off, or that doesn't wear off, but, you know, the energy changes a bit. Yeah, so obviously, I mean, this is restrictive, it's a constraint, but, you know, that's what gives the benefits, right? And, you know, it requires discipline to stay focused and avoid distractions. And, you know, so many people are always saying that oh, I couldn't do this, I couldn't that, meaning that in terms of like exercising or some kind of diet or whatever. But the thing about discipline, that it's more like a muscle, meaning that, you know, you need to train it. And if you're used to having this pretty much like no discipline at all, meaning that you eat what you feel like when you feel like, you go to sleep when you feel like, or you know, you have no it's obligation of pretty much anything. You just go to the movies if you feel like, even if you have some other stuff to do. So point is that I can understand that, like, if person's life has been for many years like this, which it can be like for many people who are like being in the corporate world, then okay, fine, it can be such a huge difference to be disciplined. So, you know, it starts small, and in order to build that muscle, right? Yeah, so different benefits: focused concentration, time management, reduced procrastination. And, you know, we can really argue that procrastination makes us feel pretty bad. Like I'm sure everyone has experienced this, that, you know, you have been about to be do something, you just procrastinate. So it gives you this really kind of bad vibes and really kind of like bad energy, and you don't feel good about yourself if you realize that, yeah, I've been procrastinating for hours and hours, months, weeks, whatever. So accomplishment, I mean, number 3, that's the thing that actually gives you good vibes, good energy, good sense of self, because you get this closer. Actually, yeah, that's another benefit. Like when you're doing this Pomodoro, you get more of these closures, a sense of like accomplishments, which means that you're going to be getting energy, increasing your energy levels. And that's really what, you know, building a business really actually comes down to, meaning that we are able to have the energy levels we need in order to be productive. So, because, I mean, have you ever tried to work like when you're sick, or if you are super low energy, where you're super tired or whatever? Then, I mean, even easy simple things can feel so damn difficult, and it feels like, this is just impossible to do.
That's me right now.
What's that?
And that's me right now, being in this, I don't know if this is COVID or just regular flu, but like, yeah, everything is takes so much more effort.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like if you get some simple thing like stomach pain, then you realize that, oh my god, how easy I have had it, because like stomach pain makes it kind of difficult to do anything. Like,
it's really hard to even be nice to people when you're in stomach pain.
Yeah, you're just irritated all the time.
Yeah. Another good point I noticed was for the 24-minute brainstorms, really like the, what's that, Arkansas law. Like if you hold brainstormings that don't have any like set time or agenda, what usually tends to happen is people are kind of like throwing nice ideas, but like, I don't know, just becomes a little bit of a circle jerk in rough words.
Yes, definitely. It's good to have constraints, increase creativity. So that's the same thing with this, meaning that you could also use it in such a way that I need to get this done in 20 minutes. Okay, like, but at least first draft has to be done within this time period.
Yeah, and also I keep interrupting.
No,
you're subject to me anyway. No, but I've noticed like using these Pomodoro techniques, whatever, it's really important to actually indeed decide at least roughly what you're going to do the previous night or day. Because if you start using the Pomodoro times to plan more projects and more Pomodoros, then what happens with most people is it can take a form of procrastination, of just planning and creating better plans during those times.
Yes. Planning, sure. The more, yeah. So how do we master this thing? So, okay, let's say that you have decided this sounds awesome. So, and you start doing it and you feel like, cool. So, I mean, I want to become the master of it. So consistency, like with everything, you just need to keep doing, practicing, and kind of like find your flow and find a way how to easily get into the zone. That's kind of the thing, right? Meaning that it doesn't, like, let's say that if you want to start working on something and it takes you 20 minutes to get into the mood, then that's the first thing to start optimizing, just being able to reduce the amount it takes to get into our zone. Then conducive environment, tracking the progress, absolutely as well. But another thing is that what I've always found is that if you want to introduce things and you want to make sure that they actually stick, meaning that after 1 week you're still doing it, I mean, don't take in too much, because it's much easier to start small and just remain consistent with it. Because there's been also started like after 90 days, if you do something for like one every day, then after 90 days it becomes like easier to do it than not to do it. So it's typically then 3-4 months that it takes to do something every day in order to build a habit. Getting things done, yeah, I mean, I don't love all about it, but I do love some of the principles, and I really like been using it for years. So it's about prioritizing and breaking down always to actionable. And here's the kicker where we can add like Pomodoro, is that we make these actionable things, size it in such a manner that we can get it done in this given time, whether it's 25 minutes or something else. So the first thing, or a super easy way how to kind of like categorize stuff in this getting things done method, is to ask yourself like, okay, you have something, you have idea or whatever. Is it actionable task? No, it's not. Okay, fine, then class or someday. Like, let's say oftentimes we get this idea for something, a product or some marketing thing, or let's start selling in Australia or whatever. I mean, if it's not actionable, then you need to modify it into being actionable. And okay, the next question is it single step? No, if you want to start selling in a new market like Australia, no, that's a project. Okay, next thing is that if it's a single step, then does it take more than 2 minutes? And this is actually the best question of the whole method. I mean, getting things done. Like, if something takes less than 2 minutes, then just do it immediately. Otherwise, if it takes longer than 2 minutes, then ask yourself, okay, is this something that I need to do? I need to do. No. Okay, then just delegate it, put it in the delegation pile. Then specific date or time. No, it's then it goes to the next action to-do list, because it's not based on a certain deadline. But no, I mean, this has to be done in the given day. Like, okay, submitting tax reports or whatever, doing the books, that for sure has a deadline. So then we put it in the calendar. So the question is that, I mean, you allocate these specific time blocks for tasks and utilize this Pomodoro technique within those blocks. So here's kind of like easy guide in terms of also this time boxing. Okay, you pick this task, whatever it is, and because it helps you to focus on what's important. Then you just set up the timer and decide that, okay, is this 25 30, 45, because then it encourages focused work and avoids the procrastination. And the problem is that, let's say that you do Pomodoro always with 45 minutes. 45 minutes is pretty long time, like if you think about it. So it's much better to give us like less time to waste, meaning that, because probably we are going to be wasting some time anyway. So it's much better if we do that for less amount of time. So it's much better that we just put the 20 something minutes, and because that also gives us this sense of feeling that oh my, we don't have much time, so we better get to it, right? So it's the Parkinson's law, like Christian mentioned, that like the work expands at the given time. So if we have 1 week to do something, then we are going to be spending 1 week on it versus like 5 minutes. Focused, distractions, which means increased efficiency and reduces this waste time. And then the timer rings. Did you finish? Great. If not, then just check the progress and come back later. Because that's the thing. Like if you're working on something and you didn't finish, then okay, then it actually might make sense that you take a quick 5-minute break and then you continue. You set the timer for another 20 minutes and you continue where you left off. But if it's something that no, I just had this idea for something, I need to do it right now, I need to write it down, then obviously then you just continue in order to accomplish whatever you have. Because we just need to realize that if you are in the middle of something and we are in the zone, and if we are interrupted or we stop doing it, then it's going to take so much longer time to get back into the zone. Okay, so many people use it, like okay, Tom Hanks writes novels, that's nice. So it's about also prioritize. It's basically the fact is that the human brains like working on this, because it gives this is start, this is end, go, instead of like going from one thing and then jumping from another thing and changing context, changing context. The human brain doesn't like this context switching, and that's going to be adding up the stress levels. But so the more constraints we can add, the more focused we can be, and therefore get better output, increase the output that we are getting from the same amount of hours. Also helps with this relaxation, absolutely. Boundaries between work and personal life. So, but this is super important, like this motivation, like whenever we are starting something new, let's say new business or whatever, motivation is something that you cannot count on it. You cannot, if your business success counts on you to be motivated, then good luck, because motivation is going to wear off eventually. So that's why it's also good to have different things that allows you to increase that level of motivation and results. Obviously, that's one thing that will get our motivation up, but it's also this sense of accomplishments. If you think about it, like making your first sale on Amazon, what does it mean in terms of numbers or whatever? In terms of numbers, it means nothing. Okay, I sold I remember I sold first product, sales price was $15. Did I get something to my bank account for that sale or whatever? No, it didn't make any kind of difference in terms of this, in terms of numbers at that specific given time, only having that one sale. But in sense of this motivation and mindset kind of thing. Like, why do, like 10 years later, why do I still remember my first sale online? Because it had such a huge meaning and gave such a huge like energy boost, and it kind of made things real, and you got this a sense of accomplishment. So imagine if every day is filled with different kinds of accomplishments, so it will our motivation levels are pretty much going through the roof, right? So positive feedback loop, and then continued like motivation. Yes, so plan, timer, work, break. Okay, so if you ask yourself like, do I want to do this? So I mean, then consider, okay, do you quickly lose focus, procrastinate, busy schedule? There's also saying that if you want to get something done, then give that to the busy person, because they are going to be probably the best in terms of time management, right? And then want to be more productive in less time, tend to overdo it, and have tasks that require a lot of focus and mental effort. And actually, by the way, about this overdoing is like, if you also have a habit of like perfectionism, or just analyzing things too much, like by nature, I also have those things, but I like deliberately got rid of those, then this will also help there. Because it kind of, you have this mindset that, well, I need to get it done. I have 25 minutes to get the first draft done. Then you kind of like push yourself to do that. And well, I mean, we do have, all of us have tasks that require a lot of focus and mental effort. And sometimes some of the tasks are not really pleasant. And, it depends on the person, what is pleasant for you. But, I'm sure like all of us struggle to stay with the task, or just to being able to, focus for a longer period. So then basically, if you answer yes, any of the items, then Pomodoro is for you. So we can actually create a challenge here out of this. Like, okay, we can start today, or you can start tomorrow, and then next week on the coaching call, we can see that, okay, what are the results? So experiment with this for 1 week and discover its potential to, transform your productivity. And then you can also share your like experience on Slack, also kind of like to inspire and to see that, okay, is this working for you? Are you getting the results? Are things going better for you, or neutral, or for some crazy reason worse? That would be funny. Like you start doing this and then you start becoming like less productive. Okay, so daily would be just, commit to completing a certain amount of Pomodoro sessions, but I wouldn't say that like I wouldn't treat this as black and white. Just start by doing one and see how you feel. Like just do one tomorrow, and then see that, okay, how does it feel? Or actually, it makes sense just to do at least a few, because the point is that you do the one interval of the 25, then 5-minute break, and then you do another one, just to see that how your mind reacts to it. But also, it's like, okay, just doing one thing, one doesn't really give you that much, because you might get this feeling that, or kind of like rejection from your mind that I don't like it, I don't want to do it. But you should give it a try, at least. Try this at least for sessions and see how you feel like it. Okay. And thing is, decide already beforehand that what is it that you're gonna do during those during that session. And it would make sense, like if you're doing four in a row, then it would mean that, which is not a lot. It's just it's like a few hours or so. basically you decide that, okay, here's the thing that I'm going to be focusing on these 4 Pomodoro things, and first I'm going to be doing this and then that and third thing and fourth interval. So then you just decide it and, you know, start doing it on it. But, you know, it also has to make sense, because if you choose too small thing, you might just spend a few minutes in actually doing the thing, or vice versa. If it's such a bit long, if it takes like a whole day to get one thing at a time. But okay, let's say that you have a project that this is going to take me 8 hours or whatever. No problem. I mean, then we can just split it into chunks. That okay, first I'm going to be focusing on this subset, and then second subset, and so on. So main thing is that you decide beforehand that what is it that you're gonna do. So notifications all down, and also like keep track of this. It doesn't mean that you need to do a lot. It just means that you just write beforehand that okay, well, what did you do? What are you gonna do? And then you can maybe just take a few minutes to write that. Okay, what is it that you accomplished, and then maybe something about your energy or any kind of feedback reflection. It's kind of like when you have only a 5-minute break, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like, why would you use that to write something? So it's better that you actually do it when you're finished for the whole day, or for those 4 sessions when you have like longer period. Because if your break is just 5 minutes, then better to use that to relax, right? Okay. Yeah. Notice any kind of thoughts you have, any kind of changes, strategies to overcome, and accomplishments. Yes. And here's different kinds of tools for it, but I've never used any of these tools, so I don't know. I've only used like just a timer from the phone. I mean, that's good enough, pretty much. Or if for some reason your phone doesn't have a timer, fine, then you can use a YouTube video of it or something. YouTube video counter. And there's also different applications. And by the way, actually take this link here at this productivity directory, because you can find a lot of different apps that are here in terms of productivity, like Trello for these boards, or for like tasks to do, and then Evernote for this. So there's a lot of different tools that you can find in this one directory.